Good evening, I'm Jeannie Blaylock, and right now we are following two breaking news stories at this hour. In Putnam County, deputies say they have identified human remains now as those of Naisha Nelson, a 20-year-old mom last seen alive February 11th. Detectives have not named a suspect, but they are investigating it now as a homicide. And in Los Angeles, golfer Tiger Woods is recovering after he had to be cut out of his car this morning from a really bad crash. You're seeing that on your screen as well. He had to be rushed into emergency surgery. There's no word yet on his condition, but we'll have the latest on both of these breaking stories for you tonight at 6.
Glenn County police say they're investigating a shooting that left one person dead yesterday.
Ahmaud Arbery was very important to me. He was my best friend.
February 23rd, 2020.
The 25-year-old Brunswick man killed by two men.
When I lost Ahmaud, I lost a part of myself.
A young man is confronted on the street in a South Georgia neighborhood.
His life was just beginning when it was cut short.
Tonight.
You didn't know it was this much love in America that would come and support one family.
Where the case stands against the men accused in his death.
We had secured warrants for two individuals for felony murder.
How a community is demanding change.
Who we run with? Who we run with?
This started right here. This is history where we all come together.
It's not just black leaders speaking out against this. There are white leaders that are speaking out against this.
And what the family is facing in the fight to find justice.
Greg McMichael did not commit murder.
And we're not going to sleep until you're behind bars.
This is a First Coast News Special Edition. Ahmaud Arbery, 1 year later. And we want to thank you for being here for this First Coast News Special Edition as we look back at the life of Ahmaud Arbery and the year since he was shot and killed in the streets of Satilla Shores. It was only after his death that the world first learned his name and first saw his face. In a summer of protest for social justice and in defense of black lives, his case drew outrage and attention locally and nationally. Right now, we're going to take a live look as the community gathers. You see it right here near the scene of that shooting, just one of several remembrance ceremonies happening tonight. And we have live team coverage for you. Our Troy Class is standing by in Waynesboro, and Kaylee Tracy is live in Satilla Shores. But first, we want to begin with Heather Crawford, who's joining us with a look at what's new at this hour.
Well, Anthony, today the family of Ahmaud Arbery filed a civil lawsuit against the three men charged in his murder, Greg and Travis McMichael and William Roddy Bryant. And the family is also suing two local district attorneys and several police officers for their response to the shooting. Now, that 48-page filing demands a jury trial and millions of dollars in damages. The lawsuit claims that police deputized the men to act as law enforcement, and it also claims that police lied to Arbery's mother about what happened, telling her he was shot while committing a burglary.
This time last year, there was a false narrative going around about her son. And if she didn't fight, if she didn't stand up for his name, that narrative would have set in that he was in the midst of a burglary when he was justifiably gunned down. And now the world knows the truth.
His family and friends say he was out for a run when he crossed paths with the McMichaels. And now the community is gathered near the scene of the shooting to finish the run. Kaylee Tracy joins us live tonight with more. Kaylee?
Thanks, Heather. Yeah, those community members who you saw gathering at the front of Satilla Shores, they will start any moment and walk through. They're going to take the same route that Ahmaud took a year ago through this neighborhood, and they'll be ending up at the spot where he died, and they will then have a candlelight vigil out here. We'll be sure to bring you the latest on that. But for now, we want to talk to you about Ahmaud's father. We were able to speak with him last week before today, and he walked us through the past year, reflecting on his pain.
It's raw because it's like you're dealing with it all over again. And you know, it's something just won't go away.
1 year ago, when Marcus Arbery Sr. lost his son, life as he knew it ended too.
When you killed my youngest kid, that changed my whole life. My whole life changed. I'm not even the same man no more.
Each day that passes, Arbery Sr. feels that absence.
What I say to my son if he was sitting right next to me? Or he'd be telling me the same thing, how much he love me, and I tell him how much I love him. Those are the kind of things he always told all his family. But when you just can't hear them things no more from him, It's really a hard thing.
But the pain also motivates him to demand justice for his son.
One thing about me, I don't deal with that race. I'm not afraid of that raciness. Right now, all I want to do is fight for justice for him, get justice for him, and make those three people that did him like that be counted for. This guy from way up in Missouri somewhere, something, this picture of him, and a guy from way a long way, he painted this picture something to me too. It's incredible to me that his death opened the world up, and he exposed a lot of things with his death. I seen a lot of people pull together, and that was really a surprise to me. I seen black and white people pull together. All the people that start this run for my son and the Arbery family, and I just want to tell them God bless them, and I hope they continue this run and just keep on fighting with us till we get justice for Ahmaud.
He believes his son's death has led to change in his hometown of Brunswick, like voters voting Jackie Johnson out of office. The first district attorney who handled Ahmaud's case.
Oh Lord, I was so thanking God she was gone.
He thinks the town will always carry the scar of Ahmaud's death and the way it was investigated.
My other two children, they don't like it here no more. They don't like it here no more because they living in fear. They just scared that they go certain places, they might get racial profile and lose their life.
But he hopes the changes that his son's death helped ignite in Brunswick and across the country are here to stay. That justice for Ahmaud will prompt more changes, and that his son's death wasn't in vain.
You got to stop somewhere. You know, you got to stop.
And I just spoke with Ahmaud's cousin. They are gathered at the front of Satilla Shores right now with community members, friends, and family of Ahmaud, and they'll end up, like I was saying, taking that same route that Ahmaud took through Satilla Shores 1 year ago, ending up in the spot where he was killed and having a candlelight vigil there. We'll bring you all of that on air and online. But for now, reporting live in Brunswick, Kaylee Tracy, First Coast News on your side.
Thank you, Kaylee. And our team coverage continues right now. Troy Kless is standing by in Waynesboro, where a vigil is underway after he spoke with Arbery's mother.
We're here at the New Springfield Baptist Church here in Waynesboro, Georgia, where Ahmaud Arbery is buried. It's been a very emotional day for Wanda Cooper Jones, who we could see being consoled by family members on the 1-year anniversary of her son's death. I did get a chance to speak with Cooper Jones a couple weeks ago in Augusta, and she says that she had to properly lay her son to rest first before starting her relentless pursuit for justice. She says it was difficult, however, watching her son's accused killers walk free while her son was buried here.
Just to see him, his laugh, his voice, everything. I miss everything about him.
Ahmaud Arbery, forever a part of Wanda Cooper Jones's heart. How do you think running helped him?
That was a sense of therapy. I mean, he was comfortable, he was at ease, he was doing something that he loved to do. I never imagined that his life would be taken doing something that he liked to do. I mean, what happened in February last year changed my life. I lost a part of myself. I lost a part of me.
Cooper calls Arbery her baby boy and still talks to her son every day.
I know he's close. Basically, I tell him I love him, I missed him, you know. If I'm doing the dishes, I would, you know, say, you remember when you hated to do dishes and, you know, stuff like that. I try to stay close to him.
The last time she saw Ahmaud was before she left on a trip to Augusta. He told her, "I love you." The Sunday he was killed, she remembers getting physically ill.
As I think back, I think in the midst of me falling ill, not feeling well, that my son was in major trouble.
911, what's the address of your emergency?
I'm out here at Satilla Shores. There's a black male running down the street.
Then, the life-changing phone call.
They initially called me and told me he had burglarized something. And there was a fight over the gun, and the mob was shot and killed by the homeowner.
Her son's death was a devastating endpoint for his family members and a turning point for the community he called home.
I'm going to really miss him, and I hope and pray that he get justice out of this.
I mean, they were out there. They were out there when I couldn't be out there. But days I was too weak to be out there, and they chose to be out there.
Cooper's grief had to compete with her determination to hold her son's killers to account.
But I'm a fighter. And I'm a fighter. Days early when it first happened, and I could have just stopped and accepted what they told me, but I didn't. And I thank God for giving me the intuition to push.
On yesterday, I want to thank God for answering our first prayer, and that was an arrest.
The arrest of Roddy Bryan and Travis and Greg McMichael has somewhat restored her faith in the criminal justice system, but there have been setbacks, like the release of the police body cam footage from that day.
No one offered to aid him. I mean, he laid there, not sure for how long, but he was still living.
She says the graphic images of her son taking his last breath replays in her head.
You know, and that was very disturbing. And then they took their story and they made no arrests. My baby was taken to the morgue and they went home.
Cooper tries not to dwell on those dark images.
I try not to be sad every day because I knew he wouldn't want me sad. He would want me to be happy.
That goal enough to hold her steady now and on the road ahead.
I mean, a lot has happened, and I never saw this happening. And the last thing you told me was, I love you. So that's what I have to base it on. I love you.
Ms. Cooper says that one of her prayers is to make sure that her two other children can go on and continue to cope with this loss. She also says that her hope is that what you see behind me, the support of the crusade for justice for her son, continues and pushes for change. Troy Kless, First Coast News, on your side.
These three men who you see right here, Travis McMichael, his father Gregory McMichael, and William Roddy Bryan, remain in jail tonight in the death of Ahmaud Arbery, facing charges that include malice murder. The legal case against the three men has already been a long road, with a delay of nearly 3 months between Arbery's death and their arrest. The three suspects have said they thought Arbery was a thief and that they were attempting a citizen's arrest when they confronted him. And text messages show Gregory McMichael, a former Glenn County police officer investigator, had offered help and police connections to a man in that area who complained of trespassers in his home, which was under construction at the time. One man seen on those cameras was Arbery himself, just minutes before the confrontation that ended his life.
And there's no evidence that Arbery stole anything from that construction site, and moves are now underway to reform Georgia's citizens arrest law in response to the case. A week ago today, Georgia's governor, Republican Brian Kemp, said that law is a relic of the Jim Crow era and needs to be replaced.
Ahmaud was a victim of vigilante style of violence that has no place in Georgia. And some tried to justify the actions of his killers by claiming they had the protection of an antiquated law that is ripe for abuse.
Governor Kemp did say lawmakers will work on a new version of the law to close loopholes and prevent vigilantism. The Cobb County District Attorney has been called in to oversee the prosecutions of the suspects after several local prosecutors passed on the case. Now, the District Attorney, Flynn Brody, says there's pressure to get a conviction.
For the minority communities, what they want is equality, equity, and just justice in our criminal justice system. The state in this country is tired of the intolerance. They're tired of the hate. They're tired of the divisiveness.
Brody says there's no decision yet on whether the three suspects will be tried together or separately. In 1895, Jacksonville native James Weldon Johnson published the first known daily newspaper in Florida aimed at African Americans. 126 years later, black journalism continues to tell a deep history of racism and discrimination. Many who remember the Jim Crow era consider Ahmaud Arbery's death a modern form of lynching. The voices you're about to hear from our neighbors in Glenn County and their everyday experiences. Photojournalist Philip Emanuel has the voices of South Georgia.
I'm terrified. Y'all don't get it. Y'all ain't scared when y'all leave y'all house.
He gets bullied by white kids all the time at school. He comes home crying sometimes.
They just bully me because I don't know why they bully me, but they just bully me.
It's here. It's here.
I also think that this case serves as a model for the nation.
A crime is being committed, and it's being committed by the magistrate judge. Y'all need to arrest him on the spot.
We caught him the other day, and Dad was outside and saw him running by, and the neighbors pointing and everything. So
saw who running by?
Him.
We want justice for my cousin. He deserves it. They've been breaking too many laws here for years, man.
It's a Georgia thing. It ain't no Glenn County thing. It ain't no Cobb County thing. It's not a McIntosh County thing. It's not a Camden County thing. It's not an Appleton County thing. This is a Georgia thing.
As a trained first responder myself, breath is a sign of life. Out of 13 officers, no one verified, even after he passed, that he had expired.
It's been going on for years. This is not the first case.
Miss Cooper was sobbing silently to herself. It's very difficult to hear. Excuse me.
I hurt like a mother when I watched that video. I have a child that's 19 years old. It could have been him.
He does not want his children to have to go through what his mother, what he's gone through as a black man, and what the children coming up may also go through.
What's your dad's name?
Greg McMichael. He's right there. He's the
I know who. I didn't even. I was like, wait a minute.
In the police report that it was his son who pulled the trigger, and those shots ultimately killed Ahmaud Arbery.
You know, it hurts me. It's, you know, I didn't know Ahmaud personally. I know his cousin, but you know, I know his family must be going through. You know, so no justice, no peace.
All the evidence, the scintilla of evidence that we needed was in the video captured in Scintilla Shores, which captured the murder of Ahmaud Arbery. We are, of course, committed to seeing this through to a conviction.
Stay positive, stay focused, make sure we get justice for Ahmaud, justice for George, justice for Brianna, justice for Trayvon. We got a lot of people to get justice for, but this time we're gonna do it the right way.
Come on now, power to the people. Power to the people. Y'all gotta stay on it.
What happened to Ahmaud Arbery has touched so many lives. The calls and cries for social justice are loud. And while Ahmaud Arbery was shot and killed in February last year, no arrests were made until May, 74 days later. But it took almost that long for the case to get widespread media coverage. Why the delay? Troy Kless is on your side, looking into the lag in the timeline.
Ahmaud Arbery was shot and killed February 23rd, 1 o'clock on a sunny Sunday afternoon.
What these men did, it should have been condemned immediately.
His grieving mother told he was killed committing a burglary.
They allowed these two men to actually kill my son and not be arrested.
There was no evidence of a burglary, but that would not be reported for months. From February until May, the case got little attention outside Southeast Georgia. The Brunswick News wrote 7 articles before its first in-depth piece on April 2nd, shortly after Glenn County Police released a report on the incident. The New York Times ran their first story April 26th. Setting the agenda, says J. Keith Saliba, mass communications professor at JU.
When something doesn't get any attention, for the longest time, a story in the Times can change complete 180 overnight.
First Coast News ran its first story on May 4th. The delay in reporting the story mirrored delays in the investigation, frustrating to Arbery's family.
Pick up these cases. We need light.
A light that didn't shine quickly enough, some believe. But on May 5th, the cell phone video of the shooting was leaked to a local radio station.
We want justice! We want justice!
that video being released absolutely changed things. It was night and day.
The GBI, the Georgia Attorney General, and the Department of Justice all weigh in. So do celebrities Viola Davis, Taylor Swift, and LeBron James. And the most significant development, all 3 suspects arrested and charged with murder. But some feel police, not public outcry, should have done the job.
And the public should be engaged, but it should not be necessary in order for the systems that already exist to do what they're designed to do. And so now we have to ask ourselves, why?
Merritt feels it's part of a culture of seeing trauma before action is taken and attention is given. Saliba agrees to an extent.
Attention, shining the light on things is vital in journalism, but you have to know about it first.
And for Arbery's family, before the light, it was dark. Troy Kless, First Coast News, on your side.
Thank you, Troy. And 1 year since Ahmaud Arbery's death, and his family's fight for justice has not ended. For the McMichaels and Roddy Bryan, they have their own journey as they make their way through their case in court. And you can stay informed with breaking updates in this case online at firstcoastnews.com and right in the palm of your hand with our First Coast News app. We want to thank you for joining us tonight for this special edition of First Coast News at 5:30.